Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Oh my God. Come on, guys. Wake up. We got 1 extra hour of sleep. Come on. Good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, much better. Thank you for coming today on this beautiful Sunday. It's getting a bit chilly, but apparently we're going to have some extra warm days this week. So looking forward to that. But as always, we are going to have our lecture done by our friend Teresa, and she's going to talk about trials and who am I. But before we start that, our friend Patricky is going to do our initial reading and prayer.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So we are reading from Happy Life, and that was brought to us from Joana de Angelis and was written for Divaldo. So spite is responsible for many human ills. It is a weak that takes root in envy. Spite inspires unfortunate attitudes, causes unjustified persecutions, incessant accusations, and poisonous information. The resentful person can never forgive his neighbor's success. He always discovers the bad side of any questions. The needle is a haystack. He suffers unnecessarily and becomes bitter in his constant struggles against the dangers he sees in others, when the problem is in his alone. Learn to share your neighbor's success and you will overcome resentment. So now let's close our eyes and connect to this beautiful energy that we have here. Thank to our mentors the opportunity to be here another week and ask them to involve our friend Teresa and that she can bring us the message that they have prepared to us. Thank you, and so be it.
All right. It's nice to see you all in here. Hi. Hi, Bella. So today we're going to be talking about trials and who am I? And basically what we'll be talking about, it's from chapter 12 of this book, Jesus in the Home. Okay. And it is a fantastic book. It was written by Chico Xavier and by the Spirit of Aneo Lucio. And it's nice about this book is that each chapter, as we know through the Gospels, we know that Simon Peter house used to be like the first church created in history, in the Christian history. So that's the place that usually Jesus would be at the end of the day, or maybe once in a week there. They will all get together there and they'll talk about many different subjects. And each chapter is one of those conversations they used to have. And in each one of them, Jesus brings us some teachings. So basically he's teaching the apostles there, but in the end, it's teaching us, right? So now this day we can read this book. And chapter 12, it's a chapter that's it's called the Four Tests, and in the original in Portuguese, it's called the Detectors of Righteous Individuals. That's actually the original title in Portuguese, which I kind of prefer than the Four Tests, even though it is about four tests. We're gonna see what it is. And basically on this chapter 12, what's happening, they're all there gathering together in Simon Peter's house, and they're all talking about the passage from the Old Testament, which are now called the Old Testament. At the time was the current testament, right? It wasn't old at the time, but they were talking about Job. And many of us know that the passage that talks about Job was a man who he had like everything that he needed, right? He had a good family, had all the material needs that you need to have at the time. He had this really nice life. And he was extremely devoted to God, right? He really believed in God. He was faithful and everything. And then Satan came to God and said, yeah, of course he's devoted to you. He's your, like, it's almost like you spoiled him. Like, look at that, you gave him everything that he needs. Like, he has a nice family, he has all the things that he needs in life, he has no necessities. Of course he's devoted to you, right? I want to see if you haven't given all those things to him, if he would be that devoted to you, right? And then God says, okay, go ahead, I'll allow you to go and trial him. And that's what Satan goes and do. He goes there and he does everything that he can with Job. Takes away all his wealth, takes away his family, takes away everything from Job. And Job stills extremely faithful to God. No matter what, no matter which hardship, no matter what test he was put through, he's still faithful to God. And then God goes, and because Job did such a good job, God goes and gives him everything back in double. Okay, so that's the story that they're talking about, like Jesus and the apostles, and they're talking about, and all the apostles have their opinions about the subject and everything. And then Jesus starts to tell them a story. Okay? And the story is about this man in the city of Nineveh, who was known to be this extremely good man. Like, this man was so good. He was so good to everybody, so charitable. So, like, his life was led by fraternity that everybody in the city would talk about this guy. Everybody would praise him, how amazing he was, how good this man was, who was a man of God he was. And there was so many people praising about him, about how good he was, that this got to the higher realms of heaven. Okay, so the archangels go to God and say, we need to bring this guy back to heaven. He's such a good man. Like, he really deserves to be here in heaven with us, right? And talking about like the level of the pure spirits, which today would call like the level of the pure spirits. And the divine wisdom goes and say, okay, but before I bring him to heaven, I would like to send, let's do a little test with him. And what he did, he sent 4 teacher angels. Okay, so basically 4 angels. Their missions to be teachers. Okay, and each one of them represented something. Okay, so he decides to send all the 4 teacher angels. One is want, and want here is the sense of necessity. Okay, and actually that's the word used in the original in Portuguese, is necessity. So wanting in the sense of not having what you need, and then you want something. Okay, so want, wealth, power, and anger. Okay, so those are the 4 teacher angels that are going to come once at a time. Okay, one at a time. So no, let's not overwhelm the guy. So he sends the first one. So first one that goes is want. So this angel goes there, and what he tries to do, it starts to do with this guy's life. He starts to take away everything from him, right? So he's abandoned by the loved ones. He goes to all kinds of necessities. He loses his health, so he goes through illness. And no matter what he threw at this guy is still faithful, because he said, you know what? I understand that no matter what's happening with me, if God for any reason is taking those things away from me, if I have to go through those necessities, it is for my own betterment, and I will accept with resignation, I will accept with faith, and I'm going to keep going, right? And that's what he did, right? So the angel goes back, it's like, yeah, he did pass. Like, no matter what I gave to this guy, he's still faithful to you. He's still the same good man. He had resignation. So nothing that I did to him really took his faith away, right? Or changed the way who he was, or he was angry, or felt like unfair, like I'm such a good person, and look what's happening. We're like, no, nothing. Like, he really, like, thumbs up, this guy passed. Great. Then comes the second one. Second one was the opposite. It comes the teacher angel of wealth. So what he does, he gives him all this wealth, like a lavish table, everything that he wants, like all the power that comes together with, money. So I can have whatever I want. I can, And this guy knew the temptation, what wealth can bring, right? The temptation that can bring for you to, just think about yourself. Now I have, I can do whatever I want. And he very conscious of what wealth was about, and how tempted, but the temptation that comes with it, happened. So what he did, he used all this wealth actually to distribute to people around him, right? To make something good to everybody around him. So he would find this financial balance where, yes, I still have a lot, I have what I need and everything, but I make sure that people around me also have what they need, right? That I don't have everything, but someone besides me has not even enough to have a minimum of a life with dignity, right? So he gets all this wealth and he distributes, and makes all the good that he can with the people around him. So again, second angel goes up to like, yes, thumbs up. He really didn't let the richness to tempting him or got greedy or anything. Like, really, this guy kept faithful, kept doing what is supposed to be done with the wealth. Okay. Then comes the third angel. Okay, it's the angel of power. And how power was given to him through authority, because that's what it is, right? Authority. So he was put in a position now where he has authority. He can do whatever he wants. He can demand things. And have to remember this. We're talking about Jesus' time, okay? At that time, we have authority. It's an extra level than what having authority these days. Because these days, yes, I can have an authority, but I still have laws that can guide me, I can abuse the laws. Yes, I can, but we do have some restraints here. At the time, if I have a position of authority, I could do whatever I want, really. There's not much laws in their time to say, yes, you can. I could do like, I don't like you, you to jail. I do whatever I want here. Power, authority, that was given to him. And what he did with this authority, he thought about it and he said, you know what? I'm conscious that whatever social position I have right now, power, authority, whatever, is temporary. Because in the end, this all belongs to God, not to me. This is just a temporary position, right? So what he did, he used this position to actually educate people, to give them the example of how to live a life. And he did that through his doing his good work around and using that position of authority to give the example to people what a good work is, what it is to work for the others, and to educate people around him. Right? So, again, thumbs up. This guy made it, right? Fantastic. Then comes the fourth angel, the angel of anger. Okay. So the teacher angel of anger had a very simple plan. Okay. Very simple plan. Because all the other ones came and they're like, I'm going to do this to him and this and this and this and this, and tested. And then he did just one little thing. What he did. So remember now, this guy's wealth, positional authority. Okay. And again, let's go back to the time. Remember, at the time when you have in a position that he had it, you have your servants, and servants are seen pretty much not as a human beings, kind of at that time. They're pretty much like slaves, right? So if these days hierarchy is something that is important, at that time, it was huge, right? So what he does, he gets one servant as an uneducated, a weak and an uneducated servant. And this servant points out to this man on a private matter that was true. Okay, that was true what he said, and points out a mistake on him. On some private matter, and points out a mistake on him. A servant, like a low-level human being, comes to this high-position man in society and points out a mistake on him. It was true. What happened with this man is that in a matter of a second, his blood boiled. But boiled. This guy completely lost, okay? To the point that he was yelling at his whole family, at all servants, at everybody, okay? How could a low-level human being, because at that time, this was considered an extremely disrespectful, someone at that position to talk to a superior And even that pointed out a mistake on a guy who was a high society level position, and at the time was seeing someone I really like as a good person. Like, who are you? How are you to dare to do that to me? Okay. And it took days for this guy to come down. Days for this guy to come down and go back to where he basal state was. Well, no need to say, this angel goes back and then says, yeah, this guy still needs a lot of time still there. He's exactly where he should be, and he's still a long way to go before he can even think about he coming back here to heaven, right? But the time was considered heaven, right? Which today in Spiritism we know that's area only the pure spirits can be, right? Like Jesus level there. Okay. When Jesus finished telling the story to the apostles, none of them dared to say anything about Job. Everybody was talking about, oh yeah, I see, he was testing, he did great. Now he's an but this one, everybody was quiet. Just like, okay. So Jesus concluded. And he said, yeah, when we tested, when men are tested on their want, on their needs, said majority fails. Okay, majority. So let's say 60%, 70% of them fail. Okay. When we talk about power, yeah, majority also fails in there. Right? When we talk about wealth, also majority, maybe 70, 80% will fail. But when you talk about anger, rarely, says, are rare, very, very rare, the ones that go through. So you see, it's easy. And we know in Spiritism, we talk a lot about how hard it is to go through the extreme of trials and experiences, right? Either the extreme poverty or the extreme wealth, right? We talk about usually those are the two hardest trials and experiences that we can go. But Jesus is saying here that even those, yeah, we can have maybe 10, 20%, maybe 30% who does well, like does resignation, use their wealth to do the good. But anger is very rare, the ones that pass by, right? And why? He says because anger usually is testing us on our vanity. That's what it is, right? That's why I say very rare are those who can triumph over an unexpected visit from anger, which comes into persons' lives to see if they have overcome their vanity. So this guy was a good man. Yes, he was a fantastic man. The fact that he didn't pass on the fourth angel, the fourth test, that means that he was not a terrible man. That all the other tests that he did going down. No, he was a man who really had resignation, had faith. He had no charitable. He worried about people around him. But there's only one problem here, is that he thought that all of this made him superior. Look how amazing I am. Look how charitable I am. Look, and he probably did unconsciously. Although at the time, I would say more consciously than unconsciously. Oh, look at here. See, I'm such a good man that's why God gives me all this wealth. That's because I am a good man, because I know what to do with those things. Like, I'm amazing, right? Look at that. Look at how much I care for them. And he did really care. Because honestly, I'm going to talk about myself. You can send me on any of the four angels, probably failing all of them. Don't even send four, just send one, that's it, and it's done. And just go back upstairs and say, yeah, she needs to stay there. Just one. It doesn't need to be sent four kids. It's a waste of time. It's a resource. It's a waste of resource. Send all four. Just send one, each one, choose any. And I'll already fail. Okay. So you have to remember that the fact that he didn't pass the anger, no moment erased all the efforts and all the goodness that he had done in the other aspects of his life. But what shows is that, yes, it's so much more than that, because a lot of times that's what it is. When we do the good to someone, we think that this puts me in a position that I'm superior. Look how good I am, right? That's what happened with this guy. Right? So now he has to learn humility. He has to remember that what he was done didn't make him better than anybody else, that he made him equal. He's still equal, right? And if anything, if I got all those lessons already, if I already understood all those lessons, then I should share. That doesn't make me better. Because maybe one day, and now today, because we have the knowledge of the spirit from Spiritism, maybe in the past I was just like the other. I was just like the servant, right? And that's why through the many reincarnations, we all put in different trials, right? Because you're not even talking about expiation. We're really talking about trials, right? Because expiation is the things that we have to go through to expiate a wrong that I have done. So it's more me repairing, re-educating, right? And trials are those things that are not necessarily related to something that I did, but are tests or moments of re-education that we can go through so we can learn who we are, that we can learn what we need to change, what we need to do better, right? That's what's happening with this guy. Because if you really look the way he used to live his life, he probably didn't need to go through any expiation. And he did went through expiations, because the other ones put him through expiations and he went through all of them good, right? But he had one more trial to do. So that's what the trials are for us to know ourselves, to know what do I still need to change, right? And we all have a little bit. And that's why through the many reincarnations, we're going to go through all of them. We probably at some point were rich or very poor, or in the next ones, maybe we're going to come at some point with a lot of wealth. Some are going to come, extreme poverty. We can come in positions of authority. Maybe some of us now has position of authority. I actually would say that all of us right now have a position of authority, right? From a CEO that could be thousands of people in their hands, right? It's a position of authority, and what you can affect. If you have, let's say if you had 100 employees under you, you can multiply this easy by 5, the amount of people that you have in your hands. Because if you affect your employee, you're going to affect their family. So it's not only the employee that you're affecting, depending on what the decision that you made, and it can affect them to good or to bad. So you're affecting him, affected this whole family, the friends, everybody who are around them, right? So it's position of authority, yes. But if I have a cleaning lady that comes to I have no position of authority at work, yeah, but at home, I have a cleaning lady that comes to clean my house. I don't, I wish I had, but I don't. Okay. Yeah, you wish as well, right? I know, exactly. Yeah. Don't I have authority? And then my relationships, I'm the boss of this person. How I treat this person. It's a position of authority, right? It's the same thing. I hired someone to work for me. It's just one person. It's just one person. As a parents, don't we have a position of authority over our kids? Yes, we do. And what we need to use that position of authority to educate them, to guide them, to give them moral values, where they're going, right? So in the end, if you really look in society, at some point, here or there, we all have positions of authority. Some of them, of course, in a much higher scale, which is really put in a position where now we're going to test to really how your authority is, right? I'm going to put you when you have now hundreds, thousands of people under you, and what do you do with that? Right? You're going to be the prime minister of a whole entire country. That's a major, it's a major, I don't want to do that one. Yes, please, don't put me on that one. Because then you have millions of people in your hand, right? And yes, and the decisions that you make affect millions. That's very hard. But we all have been or are going to be or are already in any of those positions, right? so we can see who we really are. So we can go to those trials and see, oh, I'm really that nice as I thought I was. Okay. And anger is the hardest one. Why? Because it touches vanity. And vanity, we know, as per the gospel according to the Spiritism and by the Spirit's book, is the oldest daughter of pride. It's direct daughter of pride. That's what it is, vanity, right? That's what happened with this guy here in the book. Vanity. Because actually the anger is not the problem. Anger is not the problem. Anger is just a symptom of something that's wrong. It's like pain. Oh, I need to treat my pain. No, pain is not a problem. Pain is just a symptom that tells your body there's something wrong with it. Okay. Actually, pain is something that's good, because if we didn't have the pain, if our body didn't have a system that produces pain, our bodies would have something wrong and wouldn't know about that until maybe it was too late. Right? If you step on a nail, it's gonna hurt right away, and there's like, oh, I stepped on a nail. Oh my gosh, no. If not, you keep walking the nail on your foot, bleeding, going. By the time you know, so what happened here? Right? Pain. So pain is a good way to tell us that something's wrong with us in our physical body. Well, anger does the same thing. So the problem with this guy here is not anger. This problem is vanity. Because if he didn't have any vanity, when that guy told him something that so considered at the time low-level servant said something to him, he would stop and think, it's like, wow, you're right. Actually, you know what? I need to change that in me. You are right. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out to me. Right? Actually, to start with, if he didn't have any vanity, he wouldn't even see the servant as someone below him. To start with, you'll never see him. But the first thing that it caught him in his vanity was like, first of all, you lower, like, who are you to talk to me? And then on top of that, now you pointed out something wrong on me that, like, I'm perfect. Look how good I am, right? So if he was humble, if he didn't have any vanity, he would accept it, think, and say, wow, yeah, you're right. I still should change that little thing in me. Right? But no, that's not what he did. So the trials are what? It's for testing us. And who's testing us? Because that's the thing, too. When we read this passage, you say, oh, they went there to God and said, oh, this guy is such a good guy. Let's bring him here to heaven. And God says, oh, let's try this guy. So the impression that it gives that the God needs to try this guy to see who he is, who he really is, before bringing him. God didn't need to try this guy. He knew exactly who he was. The same way that he knows exactly who we are. Exactly who we are. Way better than we know who we are, right? So God didn't send for teacher angels to figure out, let me really see if this guy is who he is. And he knew already who he was, right? So the trials are sent to us. We are the ones who need to find out who we are. We are the ones who need to find out who we are. And that's when the trials come. It's very easy to be patient when everything is right? Very easy. Oh, I'm such a patient person. But everybody around me does everything that I want. Everything comes exactly the way that I want it. There's no mistakes, nobody talks back to me. Whatever I say is, I'm so patient with everybody around, right? This guy was as well. Patient, benevolent, everything. Until, a little thing happened and he lost it. Because that's exactly how they describe. That's actually described, and actually the word in the original is he got choleric, which is the exacerbation of anger. That's how he got it, right? Lost it. A little thing. Trials. Just to help us, not God, but to help us to figure out who we really are and what we really change. Okay? So anger, in the end, that's what it is. It's just a symptom telling us, yeah, something that needs to be changed. And actually, the gospel according to the Spiritism, on chapter 9, it's called Blessed Are the Meek and Peace Loving. There is an item, which is item 9, talks about anger. That's exactly what it talks. It's actually a part of the Spirit's teachings, which usually at the end of each chapter always has direct messages from the Spirit, right? And this is a message from a protector spirit in Bordeaux, 1863. And that's how he starts it. He says, I'm not going to read the whole item because it's a little bit long, but there's a couple of passages here that I want to read to you guys. He's saying, pride leads you to deem yourselves to be more than you really are. And actually, sorry, this passage is not talking about pride. This passage is talking about anger. It's called anger, okay? But it starts like this. Pride leads you to deem yourselves to be more than you really are. You cannot endure any comparison that might belittle you. That's exactly what happened with the guy, right? Little guy came and said something that he didn't like. On the contrary, pride makes you consider yourselves to be so far above your brothers and sisters, whether in spirit, social position, or personal advantage, that the least parallel irritates and hurts you. And then what happens? You give into anger. So he describes here exactly what happened with this guy here in this passage, right? Because he thought he was superior. So by having the life the way that he was living, he really thought he was superior above everybody. I'm better than everybody here. Look how faithful he is. So he thought he was superior in spirit because of his faith, social position, and personal advantage. He has all three characters on this man here on this story from Jesus in the home. All three things. It made him feel that he was superior than what he really was. And what he did, when this guy is in, it's exactly what the guy did, right? That the least parallel irritates and hurts him. He just did a little thing. It's just a little. He just made a comment on something private, and he completely lost it. And then anger. How dare you? Right? Anger. So the gospel is describing exactly what the story is telling us about. And that's exactly what happens to us in our daily lives. Most of the time when we get anger, like Jesus tells to the apostles at the end of the story, right? He says, almost all the time, almost always, when you get angry, it's because you got touched on your vanity. That's why we very rarely can pass to that test. Right? And then he keeps saying here, seek the origin of these outbursts of temporary insanity that make you resemble brutes, causing you to lose your poise and your reason. Seek, and you will find that they are almost always based on wounded pride. Right? Exactly what it is. Why something really irritates me? Why I'm so mad? Because maybe touching something I don't like. There is a little video from Divaldo Franco that he always says, when someone offends you, it's their problem. When you get offended, then it's your problem. Because if you got offended, then you need to look inside and see, why did I get offended? Because there's two things. Either what this person said is true, so you should not offend me. Because if it's true, I shouldn't say, you know what, you're right. Yeah. I was mean. Yes, you're right. I was mean. Yes, you're right. I did this wrong. Yes, you're right. Right? Or it's not true. And if it's not true, why should I get offended? It's not true. You can have your opinion as much as you want. I know it's not true. So I have a clear conscience. So that's why Divaldo says, if they offend you, it's their problem. If you got offended, it's your problem. And actually, there's a famous professor in Brazil that he talks about this same thing. And it's a guy who's a kind of agnostic guy, but it's amazing how he has a profound knowledge of the Bible and says you cannot study the history of humanity without studying the Bible, right? And And he talks about the same thing. He says, if someone says to me, and he's bald, and says, someone says, hey, you bald man, he goes, why should I get offended? Because I am bald. Some people get offended. I'm bald. Yes, I am. And if I wasn't bald and someone calls me bald, like, oh, maybe you should change your glasses or get glasses because I'm not bald. So why should I get offended? Right? And he goes a little bit further on the joke. He says, someone calls my mom something that, not nice. He says two things. Either my mom is, and I should not get offended. And I even should ask, oh, did you meet my mom? Like, yeah, right? Or I see my mom is not. I'm get offended. She's not. She's fine. Like I'm. Okay. But in general, what it is, it touches something that's true. Because most of the time, we get offended. It's not because touching something that was not true. Most of the time, it's because it touches something that is true. And then our vanity, that pretty much is pride, doesn't allow to someone to point it out a mistake on me. Right? I'm a master on this. And I'm going to tell you, when I do lectures, it's always like, oh yeah, this lecture was for me. Yeah, I'm the first person to say, yeah, this title, yeah, it wasn't a surprise this title came to me. But this one, I never saw a lecture to fit so nicely on me. As we see in Brazil, like the hat really fitted quite well, nice, Yeah, like a glove, yeah. Right? We don't like it. Because other people's committed mistakes, I don't. Right? And when I do, I have an excuse for that. Right? And there's the other thing with anger. Usually when we get angry with something, we never try to find, almost never try to find the problem of my anger here. I try to find out here. Oh, I'm angry because you did this to me. I'm angry because that guy did this and this. Oh, of course I got angry. It's outside. It's people are making me angry. Here's it's fine. I'm good. This should be the opposite. Yeah. So did that to me. The guy did that to me. But why those actions or why what they said made me angry? Why did it really touch on me? Oh, because actually, yeah, they are right. And it's hard to accept that I'm wrong, right? Or it's hard to accept that I'm not that nice as I thought I was, right? So that's why Jesus is saying here, yeah, of all the tests that we go through, this is the hardest. Because that's the one that we're going to have to look inside of ourselves and make really deep changes on us. Being charitable, as this guy was, it's very nice. First, because we know, and there's science proving that, like every time we do something good to someone, it gives that sensation of goodness. It gives that sensation of, because that's what society should be. We should be all helping each other. We should be always, and this grows that the really good sensation as see the smile on someone else because I did something good for them. But what we need to be careful is to, normally we always see our helping the others. Oh, look how nice, and I'm helping the ones in need. And we forget that we are people in need as well. And we have our pride and our vanity makes it very hard for us to see people in need as well. And we all are in need. Maybe not material, I'm fine, my bank account's good, but emotional support. We're only in need of working our imperfections. And for that, we need other people around us. Right? We all people need, but we have a hard time. Our vanity is really like this man. Do you think this guy would never see himself in a position of need? Or I need to learn, or I need, no, he's like, oh, when I die, I'm gonna go to heaven, and it's like, not quite yet. Probably I'm gonna reincarnate a few more times down there because, remember the day that you got very angry, it took a few days for you to, yeah, that was your vanity. You need to work on that, right? So literally the trials come for that. Who am I? What are the things that I still need to work? So that's why people are putting around, and of course, the story they tell is a parable, right? It's not that God sent angels. Oh, now I'm saying the angel of no, it's true. These trials come these relations on a daily basis. Okay. And you can see usually I was seeing this a long time ago, this lecture from Haroldo Dutra Dias, that he says that you can see the person who's super organized sometimes have to deal with people who are disorganized. Right? It's not like, oh, you're super organized and then everybody around you is super organized. No, usually like you're super organized. And even if you had like brothers and sisters, they have to share a bedroom, like grew up sharing bedroom. I had to share with my sister. You always have usually one super organized, the other super disorganized. And one has to test the other. It's coincidence? No. It's trials. Oh, it could be also now, right? You have something that we need to resolve from previous lives, but it could be just, but at the same time, trials. The organized one going to be really patient with the disorganized one, but the disorganized one also have to learn respect, that the space is not just mine. One teaches the other. One trials the other. That's how it's done, right? So those 4 teacher angels is just a symbol. It's just an allegory of what happens in our daily lives. The people are put in our lives are the people who teach us how much patient we really are. Am I really that patient, or I'm just patient because everything is nice? Am I really resignated in life? Or if something is taken away, I'm already, not happy, angry, I don't deserve this, and, angry with God, right? So that's what trials are for. It's not for God to try to, it doesn't say tries to try to figure out who we are. Like he already knows. It's for us. It's for us to figure out who we are. Right? There is a passage, there is a question on the Spirit's book, question 501, where the spirits actually ask, or Kardec asks the spirit, saying, okay, but why does the spirits kind of just guide us? Just say, hey, this is the way. It's like almost like why the spirits don't come and do the job for us, right? Because it wouldn't be easier just say, this is the path, this is wrong. It's not why, right? Why they don't have a higher influence on us, right? That's basically what he's asking. Why he doesn't have a higher influence in our lives and kind of solve the problem for us. That's basically what Kardec is asking, right? And then the spirits say, yes, they do have an influence on your lives. They're here to guide you, to help, to give you intuitions, but they cannot do the job at all. Because it is up to each one of us to do the job. Otherwise, we would have a merit. We'd just be spoiled kids. Someone comes and do the job for us, and I don't need to do anything. Oh, great. You tell me what the path, I'm just going. It's easy. We'd have no merit, and we would never figure out who we really are. Right? We never will figure out who we really are. Because that's what we do, right? When you have something really bad happens to us, we want it to be taken away, right? Most of the time, instead of asking, help me to go through, give me the strength to go through. If that's what I need to go through, give me the strength to go through. Help me to learn whatever I have to learn with the situation. Because for sent to me, it's something I have to learn in here. So just give me the wisdom, give me the strength to go through, the wisdom to understand why and what I can learn from this. But most of the time, all we want it to be taken. We wanted the spiritual plan to come in and take it away. I want to go and get a passes and solve my problem and fantastic and all good, right? Or I want to, and I'm a physiotherapist, and usually that's we do this with the treatment as well. Nobody wants to do the diet, the exercise, to get a better life. I want a medication. Like give me one pill or that one exercise that takes my back pain away, and that's it, right? We're very good at taking medication for things that maybe, if you exercise a little bit, if you stretch a little bit, that will solve the problem. But that's too much work, right? And that's what we do the spiritual plan. We wanted them to come and solve for us what it's up to us to solve. And if you don't have those trials that sometimes we complain about them, we have to understand that we never learn who we are. And that's in the Spirit's book. In the Spirit's book, in the Gospel, in the Spirit's book, when Kardec's asking the spirits about how do we get better, first thing that they say to Kardec, know thyself. I cannot change anything inside me that I'm not aware. If I'm not aware that I have this inside of me, if I'm not aware that I have this vanity inside of me, right, I will never change it. You don't change what you're not aware. You don't change things that you're not aware they're wrong, right? It's fine, right? That's where they come from, right? And some people even know, but they don't care. Oh, that's who I am, and that's it. You like me for, and they think that's self-love. That's really not self-love. It's completely different. Right? To say, oh, this is who I am, and you accept the way I am, and I'm not changing. This is saying, I know I'm wrong, and I'm going to keep being wrong. It's okay. It's a choice. It's totally fine. Those teacher angels are going to visit you with a little more frequency, I would say, right? Until we really decide to change. Right? Self-love is to say, hey, I know I'm still have all my imperfections. And that's who I am. I know I have a long way to go, but at this point, I'll embrace my shadows. I'll embrace but I have my good as well. And I embrace both of them. And slowly I'm going to work on all things I need to work. That's self-love, right? Is to recognize who I am, recognize where I still can to change. Oh, I notice that every time I put in that situation, that's it. I lose my patience. Or every time I'm angry. I know I have to take a deep breath. I need to change the way that I react to certain situations. I still cannot do it. It's too hard for me, but I'm working on it. No, but I recognize, and for now, that's the best version that I can be. That's self-love, and that's okay. That is okay. But we need to know who we are, because if we don't know who we are, we're never going to change it. So that's what the trials are here for, to help us, not God, figure out who we are. What do we need to change? What are the changes that we need to make? This guy, of course, the story ends, so we don't know. We know that he was very mad for a few days. Could be that after a few days he calmed down and realized, no, why this bothered me for, like, I never felt like this before. And now all of a sudden someone makes a comment and I'm angry for days. What happening here? He could, right? Or he just could have, this guy to jail and angry and, and pretend that nothing happens and that the mistake was the servant and keep the way he is. It's a lost lesson. No, because the lesson in there, he has many lives after that one, right? The lesson's there. Maybe you need to go to the lesson again. And then again. The trials until you realize, no matter how good I am, if I'm still vain, if I have this vanity, I'm still far from perfection, right? And that's what it is about. That's what I want to bring to you guys today. Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay, so really good. People wants to eat. Yeah.
Thank you, Te. Lots to think about. I think like everyone is reflecting on our vices and trying to put our virtues on top of it. So thank you very much for those who join us online. I hope to see you next week. And for those here, we